this week we're going to look at a couple other words that kind of go along with what we're experiencing right now. I have to be completely honest, you might hear some kids screaming. You never know what will happen in our house, probably, maybe similar to yours. So this week, first what I want to do is to review quickly our growth mindset. We talk about that or we've talked about that kind of throughout our times. You can choose, and you have this choice to choose a fixed mindset. So we give up easily, our failures control us, or we can have a growth mindset where our failures help us to grow. We take feedback, and sometimes that feedback can hurt, but that feedback can also help us to grow. We can turn it into something that will make us better. Go ahead and check out the visual that I'm going to provide for you. So check that out first to review it. All right, I'm going to challenge all of you to be wonderful examples with that growth mindset. So moving on, the three words that I want to cover today are grit, social or like physical distancing, and then imagination. So guess what I brought back out? My handy dandy old fashioned dictionary. So let's check out what we have for grit so far. So with grit, here it says, I'm going to read just the one definition I felt fit the best. It says unyielding and courage. And grit was a big word with our growth mindset. If we have grit, we're unyielding and we have courage. So we're not going to give up. We're going to keep going. So I want you to look at the next reflect and discuss, reflect on your own or discuss with your family and see what you can come up with grit and how you can use grit in your daily lives. All right, our next word is going to be, you probably heard it a lot lately with what we're dealing with COVID-19 and our pandemic, and that is social distancing. And I started hearing a definition that, or not a definition, but like an explanation that I personally liked better, just my opinion. It was physical distancing. Now, even though we can't be like right next to each other, or we have to remain that kind of 6 feet apart if we're going to be near other humans that aren't living in our household, because we can still be social. Look at us. We were still able to, though not the same, be with our friends via Zoom. I'm still able to wave at my neighbor across the street. We're still able to talk. We can call each other. We can text. We can do so many things that are still social, but yet not physically together. Now, don't get me wrong. I would obviously love to be like together physically, but the fact that we have this technology and are able to do that are pretty amazing. So on the next slide, guess what? I forgot to read my little bit about distance in my old-fashioned dictionary. Let's see what it says here. Oh, it says to leave far behind. That's just with distance. Even though we're kind of leaving ourselves, we're kind of behind and not together. That's an interesting way to look at it. Like I said previously, we can still be together via the technology, which, you know, we didn't have that 100 years ago, which is pretty, like I said, pretty amazing. So on the next slide over, kind of check out the reflect and discuss and see what I have there for you to think about or just to discuss with your family. Lastly, something we all have and something that we can use that isn't taken away is our last word, imagination. Okay, you know, sometimes I get easily distracted. It's sometimes because I'm lost in my imagination. Some people might say daydreaming. And the cool part is this, we have this moment and these moments to really explore imagination. I know some of you are doing that through books. Some of you are creating. I know I heard from a parent that said their child was going to be creating with Legos. That might be you or you or you. So it's pretty amazing to think of what we can do with that. We have a lot of that going on in our house right now. I wasn't familiar with PJ masks. Maybe some of you are, but The boys are constantly running around playing PJ Masks. Teddy likes Catboy, Harry likes Gecko. Or they really love the Wildcrats because they love learning about animals, so they're being Chris and Martin and running all over the place. But our definition for imagination, what I really thought was cool was this definition: creative ability, which everybody has. Sometimes we have to practice it or find it again. And then resourcefulness. I really liked that kind of synonym or definition: resourcefulness. We use what we have and we make the best of what we have. So on the next slide over there, go ahead and check out the reflect and discuss and think, what can I use with my imagination? I've seen some amazing things from you guys so far and heard some amazing stories of what you're being resourceful with and how you're using your imagination in this time. All right, so let's review. We reviewed our growth mindset, and we have the choice every day. Fixed mindset gives up easily. Now, I'm not saying that you're still not going to get frustrated. That happens. That's human of us. Or growth mindset. Am I going to pick myself up? Am I going to learn from my mistakes? Am I going to persevere through this time? Am I going to be resilient? And then we discussed grit, which goes along with our growth mindset. We discussed that social/physical distancing of this time. And then we also discussed our imagination. God has given you so many amazing gifts, you guys. And even though we are not physically together, I want you to take this and run with it. Discuss with your families and use all the gifts that you were given to make the most and best of this time. What I'm thinking is, if any of you can think of other words you would like me to cover, or if you have ideas, we might not always do vocabulary on Mondays or the first days of the week, but feel free to let your parents know, or if we talk on the phone, to kind of like give me what you're thinking. I'm not going to be able to cover everything, but I want to kind of learn from you as well. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day and use that great imagination of yours.
We are little chipmunks. We like chiseling our trees like this. And our favorite food is bark. And we don't like people because if they come here, we bite them.